Archaeologists spent several years digging in the Black Desert of Jordan at Chewbacca 1. They did this because they thought the people who lived there long ago could tell them more about one of humanity's greatest inventions. Hello everyone, and welcome to our channel. In this video, we will discuss the discovery that archaeologists made in Jordan, which is 14,400 years old and drastically rewrites human history. Make sure to watch till end. Let's begin. While searching the ruins of a fireplace, they found the ashes of an ancient meal. The meal's contents may change how people think about agriculture's development. People would have to move to find new food sources. This way of life has been around for most of human history, so agriculture and the sedentary life that goes with it are relatively new. However, there are still a few hunter-gatherer societies, such as the San in southern Africa, the Beauty in Central Africa, and the Copper Inuit in the Arctic. At the end of this era, there was a significant change in the climate, which affected ecosystems worldwide. People may have been taking care of wild plants and animals as a precursor to farming. Hunting and gathering was a hard way to live, and growing their crops may have given early farmers confidence that they wouldn't run out of food during the lean seasons. So it's thought that plants were first domesticated around 12,000 years ago, and animals were tamed about 2,000 years later, between 8,000 and 10,000 years ago. At the same time, people in East Asia and the Americas began to grow different crops. Southwest Asia, where farming villages were built around 10,000 years ago, is now known as the Fertile Crescent. At the time, it was Mesopotamia, the birthplace of one of humanity's first great civilizations. Different forms of agriculture were practiced in the Americas, depending on the environment. Because no animals could pull plows, farming techniques were different from those in other parts of the world. This hunter-gatherer culture was primarily based in the area's Mediterranean woodlands. Still, Chewbacca 1 is the first Natufian site outside this core zone to be thoroughly explored by archaeologists. It is also proving to be a treasure trove of new information about hunter-gatherer food habits. Chewbacca 1 is in the part of eastern Jordan known as the Black Desert. This area gets its name from the black basalt stones that comprise much of its landscape. In fact, 2,000-year-old inscriptions show that the desert wasn't always a barren place, and it's possible that there was once a large population. However, Chewbacca 1 predates the Ardeer and seems to prove that the Natufians were in the area much earlier. It's also worth noting that the Black Desert is a volcanic field that covers parts of Syria, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan, making it the most prominent volcanic area in Arabia. However, they seem less active than the cultures that came before them, and the digs at Chewbacca show that this significantly affected their diet. These digs were done at Chewbacca 1 from 2012 to 2015. Even though the site was first found in the 1990s with the help of Jordan's Department of Antiquities, the work was led by archaeologists from the University of Copenhagen. There were probably more than 2 buildings at Chewbacca 1. The researchers focused on the best preserved 2. These stone structures seem to be built out of the basalt found there. A human skeleton was found in one of the walls. The team also found that the buildings had fireplaces. These 3-foot-wide fireplaces were made of basalt boulders, and the radiocarbon dating of the ashes inside showed that the buildings were from the Natufian era. However, the Natufians didn't clean out the fireplaces. Instead, they left them as they were, so the researchers could look at the ashes to see what the Natufians ate. Even though bread is found worldwide and is an integral part of many diets, little is known about its early history. For example, it was thought that bread didn't become a staple until Neolithic farmers could grow their cereal crops to help them make it. The fact that Natufians seem to have been making bread without developing their produce has fascinated researchers. It's hoped that this method can one day be used to reanalyze remains from sites that have already been found. Lara Gonzalez Carretero led the team at UCL that looked at the ashes. This task isn't as easy as it might sound. First, the research student had to devise a way to tell bread from other ancient cereal products like porridge. The gluten or other protein in the flour gives bread its shape and texture. As part of a human diet, bread provides nutrients like iron, magnesium, and B vitamins. Oddity did say that could have been because the scientists didn't clean the tubers well enough. On their own, the club rush tubers would have made crispy bread that was easy to break, so by adding wheat, the Natufians would have added the gluten needed to change the texture of the dough. This would have made it easier for them to bake the bread. However, there was no evidence of ovens at Chewbacca 1, so the bread wasn't baked. Another reason might be that they are accessible to stack, which makes transportation and storage easier. This isn't the first time that unleavened flatbreads from the past have been found. Roman and even Neolithic sites in Europe and Turkey have found similar remains. The oldest of these was 9,100 years old, but the bread in Jordan is much older. So now, the researchers have evidence to back up their theories. Antonella Paspalone, a food technologist who wasn't involved in the study, seemed to agree with the study's findings. She said that flatbreads may have been an ideal way to bridge the gap between hunter-gatherers and stable farmers because they have advantages over other types of bread. The Natufians would have had to think and grind the cereals, then knead and bake the dough. So something about this must have been extraordinary. Jewish people honor Passover as one of their holiest festivals, and one way they do this is by eating matzo, a kind of unleavened bread. If bread was important enough to the Natufians, they might have been motivated to start growing their cereals. Agriculture may have begun because the Natufians wanted to make more bread, so they invested in farming. Khadiji also wants to make natural bread. The first step was to make flour from club rush, but the results didn't seem right for modern taste buds. It may take some changes for people today to be able to eat such an old recipe. However, Khadiji still sees it as a way to connect with our natural ancestors. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to